Welcome to Lacey's Lineup, Super Bowl recap. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure I addressed the unfortunate tragedy that happened in Kansas City yesterday. It was supposed to be a day of families going out to celebrate the Kansas City Chiefs bringing home another trophy. Instead, it was marked with tragedy. I just want you to know that we're all praying for everyone involved, the victims, and our hearts go out to you guys during this time. All right, well, here we are. Super Bowl has happened. I'm a little sad that football's over, but back-to-back champions, which means back-to-back Jimmy on the show with us.
Hey.
But welcome to the show. Adam is here as well. He is also a Chiefs fan. We're excited to have him on the first time here, so welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Lacey. We're excited to be here. I had so much fun last week when we were, debating between Kansas City and San Francisco, and so I was excited to be back.
Do we have a dynasty building in Kansas City?
I wasn't all the way for it until they won this last one. I mean, biased I was, but logically I knew they had to do this. Now you can't argue about it.
I mean, this was a vulnerable year for you guys. I mean, we discussed it last week. I personally, the regular season, this was going to be a one and done, maybe two. I did not see them winning two huge games on the road. And then on paper, 49ers were definitely the more talented team.
By far.
But you have a quarterback that knows how to win, and you have people that want to play for him. And I think we're looking at a Tom Brady Patriots type building here, which is not fun for all fans outside of Chiefs. But, I mean, I think we're going to see Kansas City here. Can they do that three-peat, though?
That's Patrick said it at the trophy presentation afterwards. We're going to celebrate tonight. We're going to celebrate tomorrow. And then he's going to get back to doing everything it takes to get back to that game. And I believe him. Adam and I were talking about the fact that Patrick is a savant when it comes to the game of football. He sees the game differently. He's very the reference Adam made was to Peyton Manning. Not the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, but man, the guy understood the game and he read defenses and he was a student of the game. And so it's exciting when you have that guy, and you can't forget old Red. I mean, Andy Reid, the guy.
Match.
It's just those two together, and then you throw in Travis Kelce, and heck, we've got and
Spagnolia.
Yeah, and you talk about the triplets, Reid and. I
mean, that's the dynasty right there,
yes.
Right? Travis Kelce, we don't know how much longer we're going to have him in the league.
Sure.
He obviously said that he is going to come back, but I think you definitely need to get some key weapons in the offseason to go after that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But overall, though, let's just start talking about the game. I mean, the first half, you guys have to admit, pretty lackluster, boring. Not a lot happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I just didn't see much. I mean, there was no really, what would you guys take away from that first half?
We got dominated.
Yeah.
I mean, we were lucky to be that close. They didn't put the nail in us because I was scared. I was scared. I was like, oh, this is going good.
Well, I think those turnovers were key, right? The Christian McCaffrey, who the kid doesn't fumble the ball.
I mean, I think everyone was kind of like, wait, what number just fumbled?
Yeah, and so when that happens, you're like, okay, well, maybe we are in this game. And then, obviously the muff punt that happened a little bit later.
Pacheco
fumbled. To tell you, Pacheco fumbled too, and it seemed like both teams couldn't capitalize on those turnovers. So it became a wash, so at least there was no effects that way. But those were two crucial drives. I mean, they were in scoring range, and that just changes the momentum. And on top of that, the 49ers, when, that happens, Greenlaw celebrates and...
Oh, my goodness.
Tears his Achilles.
It felt terrible.
I feel bad for Dre. That stunk. You don't want to see anybody get injured, but then he was so hyped to get up there after. I mean, they just punted, and he was ready to play defense, and you hate seeing that because that guy's a beast. He's a difference maker.
He is a difference, and he's been a difference maker in the playoffs. So to lose that, I think, probably took the wind out of the defense.
Sure.
But there was injuries. There was a lot of injuries in this game. I mean, on both sides. I think you guys have someone playing with a torn ACL?
Yeah, Allegretti.
In his elbow.
UCL. He had a UCL.
UCL.
And
but he was like
second quarter.
He was our backup anyway.
He was the backup to Joe Thuney. Yeah. So
I mean, that's crazy. But then you had Debo go down, right, for the 49ers. Kittle was in and out of the training. I mean, this is the game where it's like, hey, give me a shot. Give me whatever. Obviously, outside of Greenlaw, who we found ruptured his Achilles. There's no really taping that up. But do you think what injury do you think was the most impactful? I mean, what do you feel like?
I think Greenwald, because if you go back and watch the game, he was really getting with this.
Mm-hmm.
He was giving us problems.
Yeah.
And so when he went out, a little tide switched then.
And him and Warner, they kind of work in tandem. And so when you lose half of the dynamic duo, and you could see Warner was trying to compensate for missing Greenlaw. Like, he was trying to be that guy, and he can be, but you can't do it all by yourself. And so,
well, they even, later, when they showed the thing, even across the field, you saw Patrick Mahomes being like, 54, whatever his number was, 54 is down. Like, they even recognized that.
Yeah.
Like, that was like a huge
and that
thing.
poor kid, I forgot his name, the substitute for him. He came in, man, they literally went at him.
Why not? You have to.
Middle's open. Kelce, it opens up for Kelce, our drag routes, everything. Right there, it's open. The middle's open.
Yeah.
Those linebackers run like D-backs.
And Greenlaw was getting interceptions in the playoffs. Like, he was a big fact. And people were throwing away from him. So that had to be a
huge, because they play zone. So
early Valentine's gift for Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
Not having him on the field. But it's unfortunate. These guys, they put their body on the line every single week to get to where they are. And for that to happen, you even go back to the Rams. Remember when OBJ tore his ACL when he, had kind of a controversy season and then was doing really well for them. You just hate that for these guys.
Well, they work their a lot of times their whole career to get to that game, and then you get there and something like that happens. Yeah, your heart definitely hurts for them. Being athletes, all of us are athletes, and we've competed on different levels. And
you get there, you try to be there for these. Happen.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there's a brotherhood, obviously, and they all feel. You saw that with the guy from Buffalo, number 4, a few years ago. Like, nobody wants to see a teammate or an opponent suffer an injury that could be,
crippling, life-threatening,
not to mention season-ending or career-ending. You don't want to see that. Achilles injury is a tough thing to come back from.
He definitely needs to call Aaron Rodgers and find out who he used.
He needs to find out where Aaron went. Yeah.
He's got. It was kind of the year of the Achilles, though, right? He's got Kirk Cousins he can go call. There's a lot of people. I think Dobbins maybe was that ACL or Achilles? I'm not sure. It was early on, the running back for the Ravens.
Yeah, that's their turf.
And that's a big thing. I talked about this early on in the early seasons about turf versus grass, because we're seeing a lot more major injuries, and it's like ACL. They're season ending. Sometimes it's career ending for these teams. So it was unfortunate to see, but I definitely think Greenlaw would definitely be the one that was the most factor, and I think took the wind out of them. So I know we touched on it a little bit, but turnovers. Turnovers are a big part of this game. We talked about Pacheco. Even Patrick Mahomes threw an interception. So you had that. You had McCaffrey. It was just craziness. Things that we hadn't seen from these teams in a really long time. But I agree. I think it was the muff punt that literally switched the game, because till that point, these turnovers weren't being capitalized by any points. But do you guys feel like there was a different factor on what turnovers?
I think the punt, and what I think the pressure when people play Mahomes, you almost have to be perfect. And so if they make a mistake, you're probably in trouble. We can make mistakes. We got Mahomes. We're going to overcome it. So I think they started tightening up. The 49ers said, man, we can't get rid of them. We're beating them. We're still right here by them. So I think they got nervous.
Yeah.
I think they did start tightening up.
I definitely think there. I think from the get-go, you're always nervous when you're playing Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't matter. Like I said, I think they're the most vulnerable, where you feel like you don't have pressure there, but you got to capitalize on him because he can make plays. But, if he goes down, right? But He tapes up. You remember when he
Yeah,
had his rolled ankle?
Man,
He's a
broke
warrior.
toe. Remember, broke toe was against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Did he break his toe? He does not get enough credit for how tough he is. He's one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league.
I mean, because you have quarterbacks that will go out. I mean, not calling out my Cowboys, but like, you have a jammed finger and they're like, cart it off.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Call out the cart. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you do. And that's the kind of grit that you need. Like, hey, and I think that adds another level to the teams because, hey, if my quarterback's going to play through all this, and I mean, it's just been crazy. I gotta hear y'all's thoughts on this because I am so torn on how I feel about this moment. But the Kelce Reid exchange in the first half is that I know he's competitive. I know he wanted the ball. His team is losing. He had one catch, I think, for 5 yards, and he was compassionate at that. But he's a role model, and these kids look up to him. So all that showed me. I mean, it wasn't just his players had to pull him off of him. He grabbed him. I mean, Andy Reid almost fell over. Can you imagine if he would have gotten hurt in that moment?
Yeah.
Andy's no spring chicken,
I know. Like, when they did that replay of it, it was crazy. But, I mean, he looked... And I'm just saying, you got people watching you. And what are we teaching our young kids? Is that okay to disrespect a coach like that? I mean, what do y'all think on that?
I don't think it's okay. I played for a while, so I've seen things happen. But they're not thinking about that on the field. They're not thinking about being a role model. They're not thinking about probably their parents. They're thinking about right now in this moment. So it's not right. But if we just look at it just for what it is, it was a passionate situation, a little loss of his cool. He ran there and yelled at the coach. I don't like it, but it happens. It's so intense down there. People just think you can turn it off. Mm-hmm. You can't really. So it's hard.
It's no different than a couple weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, when Patrick came off the field and slammed his helmet down. It's not behavior we want to see, but in the midst of battle, these guys and after the fact, Travis admitted he was out of line.
His brother
called him out. Big brother said, "Hey, you were out of line."
His Nacho Libre.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and Andy. I think the public took it more personally than Andy did. For sure. Andy if anybody understands the game.
Well, is he protecting his player too, though?
Absolutely. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they may have had a conversation behind closed doors that we'll never be privy to, but I'm sure Andy said to Travis, "You ever do that again, But at the end of the day, it's the heat of battle. Lacey, you're an athlete. You've been in the heat of battle, and you just get so intense.
I do. And I actually understand the throwing of the helmet or the slamming but it's when you go to your coach or, a high, like that figure for you. I mean, even a teammate, you can motivate them and say, hey, like, you got to pick it up right now. But to me, you're crossing a line when you go at the coach like that, when you know the whole world is watching.
Sure.
Yeah. There's another thing, though. I think there's double standards. How many times Peyton Manning has done it? Tom Brady. I mean, it happens. I think it happens. You don't like it. It would have been way worse if we lost. I guarantee it'd been worse. It'd be all over TV. But thank God we won. So it's a big thing, but it ain't that big.
But to your point, I think that was the thing that Jason hit on, talking about his baby brother, was you've got to understand there are cameras everywhere, and they are looking at you. No matter where you are on the field, they're looking at you. And when you go right for the head of the snake. It was
maybe he was just upset that they were panning to Taylor too much, and he wanted to get the camera back on him since he wasn't catching anything.
Yeah,
but I get it though. I mean, good job to the 49ers defense though for holding him in check because he had been a beast on a different level in the postseason. I mean, Kelce has struggled this year. We can all agree to that, but he is.
I don't know.
I mean, he did
almost
finish
1,000.
He finished 16 yards short of 1,000 with taking 2 games off. So
yeah, but he went through his stretches of not catching and I mean just uncharacteristic Kelce type things. Now, if you're the only receiver for 12 out of your 18 games, you're going to get 1,000 yards.
I don't know. Triple teams are hard to beat. It's pretty hard to beat a triple team, but he finds a way.
I'm just glad Rashee Rice figured out how to catch the ball.
Oh, thank you.
And then we'll get to it, but McCole Hardman,
oh my gosh.
Do it. I mean, that's you bring him back in midseason, bring him back home. I mean, that was kind of a full whirlwind, but we'll end with that last play, so we'll get to it in a second. But before we go to the second half, real quick, just a blurb, like, what do we think of Usher's performance.
Okay, that roller skate thing was insane.
Dancing on roller skates.
I used to roller skate back in the day. I know Adam did too. We thought we fancied ourselves pretty good on some skates. That was impressive.
It was impressive. I mean, his changes were great. I mean, it was like reliving my teenage dream, right? Like I was singing every song. Now I wish he would have played OMG a little bit longer. I didn't like that, just a little perp, but I loved how he ended it with Yeah. I thought he worked the stage well. I mean,
seeing Luda and yeah, just everybody coming up. Now, what was
Alicia
up with
Keys.
Jermaine Socks?
You know, I mean,
What was
no
that?
offense to Jermaine Socks, but I thought he was CeeLo Green when I first
Yeah.
No, those socks were horrible. They reminded me of my little sister wearing her little black patent leather shoes with those little frilly socks. Like, that was horrible.
Look what I thought of?
Crazy.
Benjamin Franklin.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
He did look like a
round like him.
Yeah, I mean, that style had gone out. Maybe it was in back when he was doing stuff, but I know that was Lewis, sorry. But I thought he worked and brought it all in. Alicia Keys, like that moment with her was just awesome. I mean, obviously there's some things like, oh, are they together? I was like, guys, that's the industry, right? But I thought it was a great moment. I didn't realize how short Usher was.
But when he put skates on, he's so much taller.
I know. That's probably why he did it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I did tell my wife that when Usher took his shirt off, I said, babe, that is not how a 45-year-old man is supposed to look. That is not normal.
I had to look up his age. I was like,
yeah, he's 45.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, but I just had to make sure that I did that because that was good. Usher performed just like I thought he was. So props to Usher. He's coming to Dallas, so I'm probably going to go see him.
Are you going?
Concert. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so let's skip. Now we're in the second half. Chiefs are down by 10. Are you starting to be like, hey, we've been here before? I mean, this was 4 years ago. You guys were down 10. You came back. I think you actually didn't start coming back till later 4 years ago. I think you were already into the fourth quarter.
6 minutes left.
Yeah.
To come back.
I was watching with 49er fans, and they were feeling the same thing. I'm not getting comfortable. Like, we've been here before with the same team in the same spot, but like, kind of what were your thoughts going into coming out of halftime, being down? Patrick Mahomes really wasn't playing in rhythm like he was. I mean, were y'all nervous?
We were getting whooped. Our tackles were getting whooped. They're beating us off the edge. I mean, they could have had 5 sacks if he didn't move like he did. I mean, they were getting pressure on us.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, I just thought, like, if you control that middle four, like we always talk about, and I felt like, okay, we didn't win the front two, but we didn't lose it. And so we were still within 10. I felt like we were close enough that, I mean, it's one score and it's a ball game. And so that was the mentality I had to have watching the game was, okay, we're now we know we get the ball to half. Let's go down and do something with it finally. And, everybody talks about halftime adjustments, and that's the thing you look for from geniuses like Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, all these brilliant coaches. They make halftime adjustments, and you're not going to see the same product you saw in the first half and the second half. And we talked about it last week with Matt. Matty, we miss you. I'm sorry you're not here. But those halftime adjustments are what you really are looking forward to as an avid fan. Is what is Andy and Spags going to do different this half? And yeah, they're mad scientists, like we talked about last week, tinkering. They're always like little.
They are. I mean, they're the best at their.
Oh my gosh,
thing.
yes.
But side note, real quick, before we go any further, were you guys shocked that they put the blame? I know you got to put the blame on somebody, but firing their defensive coordinator, Wilkes?
I don't think that was right.
You held in the
I said, Cowboys, call him right now. Are you kidding?
In regulation, you held Patrick Mahomes to 19 points,
Yeah.
and you're going to fire him?
Yes.
What
I'm
is
sorry.
going on?
You get rid of somebody else. And that's not fair to him because now all the jobs are, I mean, this guy deserves, that's why I'm like, Cowboys, call him. We're still building. I know we hired Zimmer, which I would have taken Wilkes over Zimmer, but we didn't know that was possible. But I was shocked when I saw that.
I was too.
I'm sorry. Right. You fire special teams or something. You don't fire a guy that has got you to where you are. I mean, their defense was, and then he gets the Chase Young deal to come over.
Yep.
And I mean,
And remember we talked about Chase Young last week, and he stepped up.
He did
He
step
really-
up. I did say that. I was like, I feel bad because I was saying he wasn't. He should be benched. I agree with that. But he
stepped
held his
up.
own.
Yes, he did.
But man, I was shocked. I mean, that's Steve. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't think that is why they lost the game. I actually think it was more on Shanahan.
Yes.
For sure. Not saying that he should be fired because I still think he's a great coach. But if you're going to put blame on that game, it's him. He got outcoached.
Oh, especially at the end.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter. Yeah.
Well, in fourth quarter and overtime, you know, if you listen to the folks out there that are on social media talking about the 49ers not understanding the overtime rules and finding out the Chiefs had one session every week of the playoffs and then 2 sessions Super Bowl week on playoff rules, to find out that I just find it hard to believe that the caliber of Coach Kyle Shanahan is, that his guys, and he specifically, didn't understand the rules.
Right, because
I
you
think-
don't take that ball first.
No, I honestly feel like, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, it was an ego thing. They're like, we're going to show you. We're going
But
to
your
drive this
offense
ball
wasn't.
down.
You know,
Yeah,
your
you're-
offense
and
wasn't
and
there. You
stop
got a
you.
field goal.
Yeah. And so I don't buy it. These guys are professionals.
It's crazy. I mean, and if you look back when they did the coin toss, he said it again. The referee said, hey, playoff rules, each team will possess the ball. And, you know, he went through his thing. So to say, but yeah, when they did Kyle, I believe you're sick. I mean, there was like 3 people they did on the 49ers, and they were like, I wasn't sure about that, you know, and what? And like you said, the Chiefs were like, hey, we had a meeting. Now, it happened because of that Chiefs-Bills game, right? That's what
Sure.
turned
Oh,
the
yeah.
rule.
Yeah.
And there's some film out there. If you see Patrick talking to Andy before the coin toss,
Yep.
you know, about them getting the and he's like, okay, which way do you want to kick? Andy's like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But you know, they were having that dialogue before the coin toss. But Patrick knew. He knew. I think he felt like if they won the toss, they were gonna kick,
Yep.
and they didn't. So it was mind blowing
Well,
to everybody.
if you look at Patrick Mahomes, he was like, we'll go this way.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay.
But you could tell. I mean,
He knew.
and he knew, but he definitely didn't know. I think it was Ward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a major fail, and that's, I mean, again, not Steve Wilkes' fault.
That's the head coach.
But I couldn't believe that when they didn't know. And I'll tell you, it left me a little bit. Like, I had forgotten the rules. You know, I was thinking, oh gosh, okay, they just need the score. And then halfway down the drive, I was like, wait, it changed.
Now,
So
in your defense, the reason you forgot the rules is because you're a Cowboys fan.
we don't go to overtime.
Yeah, you don't go to the Super Bowls or the playoffs usually, but we knew because
waiting.
Buffalo made the huge stink.
We made it, 20 minutes in before you brought the Cowboys up? Thanks. Appreciate it.
I love your Cowboy fandom.
I am.
It's passionate and
True faith.
yeah,
Believe in
no.
something that really ain't gonna
ride
happen.
or die.
We're going to New Orleans next year. There we go.
I mean, you started off earlier when we were talking about Weed and Boys. I mean,
Weed and Boys.
that's right up there with, what is it, Bang Bang Niner Gang?
Oh, I heard Shanahan saying, I don't even know where this came from. Like, he wasn't a fan of it. Like, he doesn't like that saying. I was like, you need to stop calling out everybody right now.
Yeah.
You're not making friends, Kyle.
Right? Exactly.
yeah.
So, okay, let's go to overtime. Goes into overtime. First of all, that's exciting. I mean, just for any fan to extend this game even longer. It's a close game. I think the overtime in the Super Bowl is extremely low. I don't think it happens very often. When was the last time it happened?
But
Bro, I think it's first. It's first.
But
Is it
think
the
about.
first?
Let's go back before we fast forward into overtime. Moody's blocked PAT.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, the dude was like, that was the only one all year, right? Only missed PAT, blocked PAT, whatever, all year. And
Oh, yeah.
I had Moody on my fantasy team.
And
So-
the percentage of blocked field goals.
doesn't happen.
It doesn't. I mean, what game was it where they had 12 men on the field because they were trying to block the field goal and it ended up costing them the game? But you're like, why are you even trying this? Like, it's not going to happen. You can just be Dan Campbell and just keep going for it. And
Yeah,
not kick
just
the
do
field
it.
goal.
Eventually, you're going to get one.
Right.
No, you're not. But that, and thank you, because I would have been so sad if we didn't discuss this, because I really think we would be talking about a different game had he made that extra
Yes.
point.
You want to talk about that huge, that was the momentum shift right there from, and then second half when you saw that, all of a sudden, hey guys, we're we're only 3 points out of this game.
Yeah.
Like 3 points is nothing. I mean, we got Harrison Butker, who, if they could split the MVP trophy,
He scored 52% of the points or
yeah,
something.
like Harrison Butker, and the dude was automatic.
And he broke the record for Super Bowl
Yeah.
field goal.
Yeah, so Moody breaks it, and then Butker breaks it after him. Like,
That's
okay,
crazy.
anything you can do, I can do better. It was great.
I mean, it was, and that's what made the game kind of boring because it was field goal.
Oh, yeah.
When we're used to two teams that score a lot of touchdowns. But, I mean, that was huge. And that's two. You have the muff punt and the blocked extra point. I mean, that's two momentum shifts to the Chiefs where I didn't see any momentum shifts.
On special teams, not on defense, on special teams. But who got fired? I mean, back to your point earlier, it's like,
That's
really?
what I'm saying. I get you got to blame somebody, but blame the right person.
Yes.
I mean, now you're going to start over with your defense. I don't.
Yeah, this is first year. This was his first year. Yeah, it was his first year.
Yeah.
That's
But I mean,
crazy.
what he did in this year, I mean, by itself, it shouldn't be on one game when it really wasn't even his fault.
Right.
I mean, 62-12 in a Super Bowl, or like a TCU game,
Yes,
right?
you get blown out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Then,
replacing.
yeah.
DC.
But when you have Patrick Mahomes, who you hold to one touchdown until the very, the overtime, crazy. Get out of here. Crazy momentum point. I think we would be talking about a different one because that forces them to have to go for the touchdown instead of kick the field goal to go into overtime. And I think they were too far out with not enough time left in order for that to happen. I mean, Patrick Mahomes only needs 13 seconds.
I was about to say, I was like, wait, not enough time. As long as there's a tick on there, we got a chance with Mahomes.
I know.
We're so lucky in our lifetimes to see these performances that these quarterbacks pull off. Not just Patrick. A lot of these quarterbacks, they're so gifted and so talented. Lamar Jacksons of the world, the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows. I mean, these guys do these amazing things with so little time that when we were growing up, you would have thought was never possible, right? Like, you mean to tell me he can go win a game in 13 seconds with no timeouts?
I mean, that Bills-Chiefs game, still probably my most favorite game I've ever watched.
I heard
And I don't like either one of the teams. I mean, I don't not like them, but you know what I mean? Like, they're not my team. But I was, like, on the edge of my seat. Like, I felt like I was a fan of the Cowboys during that game. Like, it was, that to me, that was the Super Bowl, right? Like, I mean, that was going to be it. I think the only person, to your point, too, I think the only person not afraid of Patrick Mahomes is Joe Burrow.
Yes.
He has to stay healthy. There's the catch.
Yep.
And they
Always
said,
a caveat.
they actually said that they're worried about his thumb. Like, it's more significant, like, not just a surgery. They were talking about it today.
That stinks
They
because that
said
kid's a talent.
Another thing, just not to dog him, he's a good talent, but they're about to lose their receivers. So you're going to lose one for sure. I almost guarantee it.
He's coming to Kansas
Can't
City.
keep all three. I hope so. It's over then.
You think he'll go to Kansas City? I mean, you guys got to get a receiver.
I don't know if we'll pay. I wish we would have. I wish we could make it work.
We're going to have to pay Chris Jones.
Yep. And Snead probably.
Yep.
Or
Ladarius
Chris
Sneed.
Jones is going to sit in the stands again and
And
watch you guys.
Chris Jones deserves to be paid. Adam and I were talking
He
about
does.
that.
I mean, that pressure, and we're about to get to it, but his pressure at the end of the game is literally what won it for you.
And he does it a lot. Like the stats, if you look at it, he led the league, I think, defensive tackles.
I mean, he is a
Double-team wins.
difference
He
maker.
beats double teams.
He does.
He's best anybody.
He
So I was
does.
telling Jimmy, that's why our linebackers are so good. You can't touch them.
Yeah.
You have Chris Jones here, another linebacker just go free, back and forth.
But can you tell me why in 3 Super Bowls that you guys don't get a holding call?
I'm not sure how we not.
Because we're
You've
not.
had 3 straight
'Cause we
Super
don't
Bowls
cheat.
without a holding. Come on. You could call a hold.
Hey, did you see? Okay, did anybody notice? Did you see what color Trent Williams' gloves were?
No.
They were red. You know why? Because the Chiefs had red jerseys. So, I mean,
I'm not saying, I think you can call a holding call on every play.
100%.
And I do like when the refs let them play out.
And that's what they did.
There was a couple that I think were huge. And when it's blatantly obvious, like where it affects, like if it's an off ball or something, but when it like is to the ground and it allows a play to develop, I think you got to make that call.
I do too. Yeah.
You're not agreeing with me.
No.
I could show you video if you want to
This
see
is
those
called
holding calls.
Lacey's lineup. I'm not going to disagree with you.
I will cut your mic off.
All of a sudden, nobody hears me.
Oh, and then today, I don't know. Have you guys seen this, the weird first down, second down thing?
I try to ignore the trolls.
I didn't even realize it. I did take the game, so I should go back and watch it and just see if it's just a thing. But it said on that last drive, Patrick Mahomes was driving. He got a first down. It says 1st and 10. He runs for only 2 yards. It's clear and obvious. So it should be 2nd and 8. They show 2nd down, but then all of a sudden it just switches back to 1st and 10.
What? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
But I feel like if that was it, I mean, somebody's watching, right? To be like, hey, that's not right. Like, this shouldn't be. But anyways, I just saw that today, so I thought I'd throw that. I'm trying to help the 49er fans.
What happened on the next play, though? After that? It's 1 play, 2 play. What happened on the 3rd play? It was 1st down.
Yeah. So
well, you got 3 first downs.
Well, yeah, but it's first down on a first down. Yeah,
but it's still 3 plays.
Lacey's trying to help Matt stick up for Matt since he's not here.
Well, I mean, I gotta give you guys. I gotta challenge you guys a little bit, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you guys get some home cooking.
But
actually, our offense led the league in penalties.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
More than the Cowboys?
Yes.
Believe it or not, yes.
Right
I feel like we take that trophy home every year.
We normally don't. Our right tackle.
That's where we. If that was Super Bowls and penalties, Cowboys would be there every year.
Yeah, right tackle was most penalized offensive
20 years.
Yep.
Wow. So
Didn't like that.
So we're in overtime. Blood is pumping. We're excited. I mean, some of us know that both teams get to possess it. Some don't.
Well, here's the thing that's different with overtime. So they changed it a few years ago. Regulation, you score. If you don't score a touchdown, you can go back. You know, if you kick a field goal, you score. There's where the players are confused. Now, if you score a touchdown, it was over. But now what it is, no matter what, if you score a touchdown, it's like
they
college,
still get a chance to possess.
That's where they mixed it up. I see how they did it because it's so close. Mm-hmm. But even if you scored a touchdown, the Chiefs still would have got a chance.
Right.
That's where they messed up.
Yeah, that's what, and I don't.
Like,
that's where
the Buffalo rule.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that they didn't, which I still think they should.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love college overtime. Now, yes, they should have to not start on their 25 because that's, that we'll just save that for college. But
flag football.
I definitely think you should both possess the ball. I mean, you can't. And I felt for Josh Allen that time. I mean, the way he played and got them to that, and he didn't even get to touch the ball again.
You know who I felt for? Patrick Mahomes against Brady.
Yeah.
That felt for him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I mean, and that's what you feel. So
yeah, you're right. It's a quarterback-driven league. You want the best to touch it.
Yeah. But you're there. 49ers take the ball. They're marching. It seems like McCaffrey is like turned into his animal self because he's, to me, the Patrick Mahomes of their team, right?
Sure.
He puts them on their back. He gets a long drive. They are just, it's just with ease. It's almost like your defense is tired and they get stalled right there. And it goes, and like I was mentioning before, Chris Jones pressuring that 3rd down and making him, because Juan Jennings, wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, and that's where Mr. Irrelevant came in, right? Like he could have extended that play, but I think his nerves were getting to him in that moment. But when you slow it down, that was a walk-in touchdown. But Chris Jones, that's the factor. That's why you pay this guy.
Yeah.
They kicked the field goal. So knowing the rules that we know, do you agree with this field goal kick? Or would you have gone for it?
Here's the thing, you're wrong either way. Mm-hmm. Either way you do it, if you do, you know what I mean? There's just no right or wrong to me. Personally, because I know Mahomes, I'm going for the touchdown.
Sure.
I can't.
You know what you're up against. The guy that's across the field from you.
I got to.
You got to know. I've got to put 7 on the board right now because if I don't, the game's over.
And that's where the gamble is because he's going to get you at least 3, right? So if you don't get it, but you go for no matter what, he can only tie us.
Yes.
That's where you channel your inner Dan Campbell and you stay aggressive. And to tell you the truth, they were aggressive for most of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where
not
you
Dan
feel
Campbell
like...
aggressive.
Not Dan Campbell. No one's on that level.
Riverboat Dan.
With his red nose.
Oh, my goodness.
But, okay, so they kick the field goal. It goes back. Let's talk about that last drive.
Oh,
what do you guys think?
That's the stuff dreams are made of.
You had Patrick Mahomes really kind of did that. You had a couple of short passes, but him with his legs, they hadn't seen that. And I think they were so worried about covering those guys and Patrick Mahomes being,
right,
so aware of the game.
It was kind of like we talked last week, too. I think because he hadn't done it all game, they underestimate how athletic and fast Patrick is because he's not a pretty runner. We talked about that last week.
He's prettier than Purdy.
He is the fastest 4.8 quarterback in the world.
Yeah, that's the fastest 4.8 you ever seen.
He can run. He's athletic.
But he needs 10 yards, and you see him run out of bounds at the 11-yard line, or after 11 yards, you're like, what just happened? Like, and he has 4-3 guys chasing him. And so
he's got a knack.
He understands the angles of the game, and
pump fakes. You do a little pump fake sometimes.
Because you have to respect that. He was pump faking past the line of scrimmage,
10 yards,
and they were biting on it. So
it was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, he led the league in quarterbacks for rushing first downs. I won a bar bet on that. But yeah, I thought everybody said
over Lamar Jackson,
23 rushing touchdowns in the regular season.
Well, you got to think about it. I mean, for a while, he had to do it all. I mean, you could see his frustration building with his receivers and all that. So if he was going to stay in this game, he was going to have to do it in his hands.
Yeah.
But okay, so moving forward, we get down there. We know how we got down there. This last play call. I mean, they say it's corn dog.
Corn dog.
They say the same one they did 4 years, or was it
Third
4
time.
years ago?
It's the third time we've done it.
No, that was last year.
Yeah, we
It's
did it
Philly.
last year.
I think it's Philly. The receivers came in on a hard motion and then dipped back out like a V cut.
And you know how the 49ers didn't know about the rules? McCole Hardman didn't realize he just wanted to.
I didn't think you were going to mention that. I was going to leave that alone.
But hey, you just want to talk about being in the moment and in the midst of battle, like for the fact that and McCole Hardman, I forgot who it was. It was yesterday. Jamal Charles during the parade. They were interviewing Jamal Charles, and McCole Hardman just drops the ball. Like, you just caught the Super Bowl winning touchdown.
Yeah, I don't think
Jamal Charles said he wanted to run out and grab the ball for him.
At least he caught it,
Right.
right? Like, at least it wasn't. But here's my troll. You ready for some more trolling?
Okay, troll.
They're saying that there was an illegal man downfield on that play. But help me understand the rule. This is my understanding of the rule. Is you can go further down as long as you're actively blocking.
Contact. If you're in contact.
Yeah, as long as you maintain contact.
Which, when you look at it, he's clearly past the receiver, but he's still actively blocking.
Then it's not illegal man downfield.
Now you have to maintain. It has to be place you're driving. You can't
Right.
Once you break contact, you're
Yeah, you can't regain the contact.
Right.
But
touch them and move. It's.
I told you I'm trolling. That's what I'm doing.
But you came back and helped
You
us
did
a
your
little bit.
research. Yeah, you did your research. I like that.
That's
Yeah, no,
impressive. That's impressive.
that play was, and it was, oh my gosh, I made a fool of myself just jumping up and down. When he caught that, he ran in, and I'm hugging my wife. We just won the Super Bowl, and I'm so excited. And then, I couldn't wait to get on the phone with Adam, and I couldn't wait to get on the phone with my mom, and it was just.
I don't know what I would do if the Cowboys won. Well, it was funny because my son.
You don't have to worry about it.
My son. He was talking to me because he's a Chiefs fan too, and he was really excited. But
Brilliant kid.
we're talking about the Super Bowls, and he goes, "Do you think the Cowboys will win Super Bowl 60?" Like, he just said that. It was 2 years out.
Oh yeah.
But I thought he said before I'm 60.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't even know if either one of those will happen. I mean, I used to always, my family was like, I don't know if we'll see another one in ours, but you should see one in yours. And now I'm to the level where I'm talking to my kid, and I'm not sure if
You're young. Jerry Jones will probably be gone by then.
Yeah, but is Stephen Jones going to be any better?
I think he's a little better.
A little better. He's an
He's
upgrade.
not in the limelight as much.
Well, I mean, look at, and not to side note, but look at Dan Quinn going to the Commanders and the control he already has on the people he's bringing in.
Yep.
I mean, we just don't have that. It all has to channel through Jerry. I just don't get it.
Well, there's a
The last
reason
time
that
it didn't, what happened?
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's any indication, you look at the folks that followed Dan away from this organization, the secondary coaches in the defense, and who is now defensive coordinator. His name escapes me, but I mean, why would you leave? Like, he could have been the defensive coordinator at the Cowboys because he was next in line. What's the guy's name, Adam? Do you remember?
I can't think of it right now.
And then he's now the DC at Washington.
John Whitaker?
No.
John Witt Jr.?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you leave? He could have been the DC in Dallas with Micah Parsons, but instead he goes to Washington
Because they're bringing the gang back together. We're gonna stay old school until we all just freak out.
Get tired.
and
Was
you
it
got
Lawrence.
you got
we
Mike
get
Zimmer.
tired.
I mean, Mike Zimmer. I just think I would have taken Vrabel.
Yes.
And obviously, if I would have known Wilkes was going to get canned, I would have taken. And that's why I said you bring him in. You give Zimmer 1 year and let this guy take over.
Yes.
Right? He knows how to get to a Super Bowl.
I hope that's exactly what Steven did. Is as soon as that game was over, when he got fired, called Wilkes up and said, "Hey, hang tight for a year," and then.
But I actually thought Dan Quinn had ran his course. I was actually mad about his second, but that's for another day. All right, so to end, you guys are now going for a three-peat. Yes. Congratulations. I mean, can you just share the wealth, though? Like, just throw one every so often?
We waited 50.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. 50. When they went to 70?
You guys
69, yeah.
Jimmy was already born. I wasn't born yet. Jimmy was already born, but I wasn't born yet.
You know, it's...
You might have to wait till Patrick Mahomes, Sterling is your quarterback.
It was funny, Adam and I growing up in Kansas City, we've now, as adults, been to experience a World Series.
Yes.
Not a few years ago.
Rangers won this year.
And
Shout
great.
out to the Rangers.
Hey, congratulations, Texas Rangers. But now having these Super Bowls, like things as a kid, we looked up to the Chiefs, every one of them. I mean, now I feel like let's just continue the dynasty. Let's make it.
It is. I mean, you guys are definitely. I don't know how much longer you'll have Kelce. I think you guys are. I mean, you're going to attract people. Now, can they get the stills that Shanahan gets for next to nothing? Because you are to the point where you got to pay your people. They're still paying a quarterback that lives with a roommate, right? So they have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And we're just paying Dak Prescott.
Well, think about it. The league, everybody's forgetting next year. Burrow's money's about to hit. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen's about to hit.
Dak.
Lamar Jackson's about to hit. So now they got to get friendlier. Are they going to be able to be like Mahomes? Can you win without having all three receivers in Cincinnati or Buffalo? Diggs is probably going to be gone.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully he's coming to be with his brother.
Oh, that would be nice.
They want to play together.
But I think the big thing, I get a little nervous. I'm real skeptical. I love the Chiefs, but I'm just real analytical. But then I looked at it and said, wait a minute. This is a rebuild. We've had 2 rebuilding years to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Everything's changed. Tackles changed. This changed. He wins. Can these other quarterbacks win with what Mahomes? Let me ask you this. If Joe Burrows was on the Chiefs, would we won the Super Bowl? Do you think?
No.
Lamar Jackson, anybody. I don't think there's anybody quarterback in the world could get us to that Super Bowl, get us to it.
No, but if you flip-flop the question and Patrick Mahomes on any other team.
Oh, my gosh. On Cincinnati?
That's not even fair.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even at the Cowboys.
That would be cheat code. Like, right? Everybody would be so mad. Because
he would trump your curse. He would trump.
And to think he went 10th, wasn't he 10th? And I mean, that people.
Well, I don't know. We traded up. Somebody could have got him. They could have traded. We traded up a bunch.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But not a lot gets said about Brett Veach, the general manager. I mean, that dude's he is a genius when it comes to finding those diamonds in the rough. The Pachecos.
Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed. He didn't. We haven't talked about him a ton. But you look at the receivers that he was up against through the playoffs. Just through the playoffs.
Physical.
I mean, the only one, Zay Flowers had a 100-yard game, but you look at Waddle and Tyreek, love Tyreek, Diggs. I mean, all these receivers that didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then Debo and Ayuk, like, yes, Debo got hurt, but
still, I mean, he came back in. Ayuk was not a factor. I think he had 2 big catches.
Jennings was more of a factor than Ayuk.
And Jennings has been a factor. Mm-hmm. So I think Purdy felt the pressure. I still think Purdy
he's good.
I still respect Purdy. I don't think could have done any more. I thought he handled the pressure right.
I personally think he's a top 15 quarterback.
I was worried.
Now. Top 15.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dallas would be happy to have him.
Yeah. Better decision maker.
We got Trey Lance.
Yay!
Oh, the one that he took the job.
The hand-me-down. They've got San Francisco's hand-me-downs.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, but. Congrats to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Back to back, that's impressive.
I just wish Matt could have been here to enjoy this.
Say it the rest of the way. Back to back.
Red
Kingdom.
There we go.
Yes.
All right, so my last thing, just because it's a fun question, you guys have won. I know that's probably the most special game, but out of the season, it can be another team, it could be your Chiefs, but what was your favorite game of the 23-24 season?
100% Baltimore.
Yes.
Baltimore versus Chiefs?
I'm a realistic fan. I didn't bet on that game. I want them to win. I was kind of using the Dallas faith, hoping for something maybe it's going to be hard to get. And we won. I mean, I was surprised. I'll be honest, I was surprised. That was the toughest game. Had a great quarterback. They had the run game.
You controlled it the whole time.
Oh, yeah, it should have been a blowout. But I'm saying before it started, statistically, you look at it.
Well, even Patrick Mahomes, when he interviewed after the Bills game, he was like, we got a lot tougher test to go.
And we shut Lamar out. Didn't do anything. We dominated their...
To me, Lamar is overrated, though. I really do think that. I mean, not saying he's not great, but his throwing, I don't know. He just, you can get to, I think you can get to him.
I think you overthought it. Did you watch the game?
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and watch it again, he could have run. He should have run.
I mean, and I still don't understand how he got MVP. I really don't.
Purdy had better stats than him.
Dak had better stats.
I thought McCaffrey should have been MVP.
I really do. I mean, you give him, think about the workload he had all season and staying healthy by himself. But anyways.
Dude, what about the season Mostert had in Miami? I mean, that kid just...
Man.
All he did, and his story being, 31?
Yeah, and still running.
31-year-old running back?
And still fast, running 14.43 still.
Yeah.
Even people don't like it, but Tyreek Hill, 1,800 yards. What, he missed 1 or 2 games?
I wish he'd have come back.
What's your most memorable game?
I think...
Can't agree.
No, it wasn't that game. It was, I think, Buffalo, simply because it was the first road game that Patrick had to prove to everybody that he could win.
That's what lit his fire.
Yeah, it was like,
as a fan, you want them to say that, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm. And you know what? And I think secondarily, that Detroit game, first game of the season.
Yep. That
showed him, hey, nobody's just going to give it to you. You come out, first game of the season, and we lose to Detroit.
8 drops.
Yeah. And that's where we realized our receivers couldn't catch a cold. I mean, and then... that was the kind of the start of, and they had their little bump in the road where they lost 4 out of 6 games. But yeah, so first the Buffalo game, just because that was the first time Patrick had won on the road. Well, he didn't have to play on the road in the playoffs. So, but then secondarily,
it was a new challenge for him.
Sure.
But do you think he wins if Burrow would have stayed healthy?
Oh yes, yeah.
You guys are going with that?
Well, here's the thing: doubtful through the year. Nick Wright, do you guys watch Nick Wright? Mm-hmm. He talked about all year. I mean, granted, he's kind of a homer, but he said it. He said, if you don't think you're going to be able to trust Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes at the end of the year, this is the middle of the season. We got top 2, top 3 defense. They're kicking butt. You said you don't think they're going to figure it out? I mean, it's almost like a prophecy. We figured it out just enough to win. Defense kept us in. Totally different. We've never... Do you know we averaged 10 points less a game than we did from his other year? 8 points. Last year was 28.
You guys were lower scoring, for sure.
21 points a game. Normally we're at 28, 29.
I mean, you guys, I really thought y'all were going to suffer when Tyreek left.
Me too. I was mad.
And now Tyreek's like, it might be warmer.
Yeah.
But he didn't make
no state income tax.
No, I think he had fun there. Yeah. I mean, he's somebody that's made
millions. Yeah, no taxes, so he kept an extra $10 million.
Yeah.
I think it made Patrick a better quarterback, personally. Even though I wanted him there, he had to learn check downs, reads. I can't just throw it to the fastest human being in the world, just launch it.
Yeah.
Now you got to look and check and watch people off. Again, it made him better. I wish he'd come back now. We got it. He figured it out. Come back.
Yeah.
Okay, you got paid, Tyreek. Come back.
Yes.
Right. You enjoyed that. You got your suntan, your house.
Yes.
got
married.
You got married.
And divorced.
Oh, already?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
That's funny.
But well, thank you guys for coming on. Thanks for coming on again, Adam. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you
hope
very
you had
much.
a good time.
Awesome time. Thank you.
Yes,
and
it was awesome.
Congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
Will we see you in New Orleans? We'll just have to wait and see.
We're ready to run it back.
But if we do, I'd love to have you guys on again.
Awesome. Anytime.
So,
yes,
appreciate it. And just so you know, the season might have ended, but Lacey's lineup will continue. I got a lot of fun things lined up, so make sure you check back to see what exciting things I have during this off season. Until then, your girl is signing off.